Good morning. The purpose of this demo is to show the new SSE Connector Client. The goal for this connector is to perform SSE connections to a server and be able to add this client to an integration in Fusion that will allow us to treat and manipulate every single chunk of the responses we will start receiving from the server. In order to do that, we created a standard API for the moment that will be consisted on a post method and a submit action. This will trigger a new integration here. And this integration for the moment does nothing. If we try to perform the call for this one, not found because it's not yet activated. Let's activate this. If we go back, this is just a standard call for this API, does nothing. So let's add a new SSE connector that will be pulling information from an SSE server. To do that, we are going to first create a new connection here. We will look for SSE Client, demo, SSE connection. In this screen, we will have the service root of our service or of our server, and we will have different types of authentication to access the information for that server. In our case, I have this external server that is an SSE server that will, when we send and perform a request, a post request, it will start showing me information about a poem that I asked for, right? So we have this poem here, and then when it's done, it will close the connection. So we will use this server as an example. To do that, I'm going to copy the base URL for this SSE server, paste it here. For the moment, this server doesn't have any kind of authentication, so we don't use neither API key or auth. We will use none here, and we will update this. All right. So, okay, now we're done here. We go back to our integration. That is the API, that is the call that we performed before. And we're going to do is when we call the submit method, the thing that we're going to do, let me disable this first. Now I'm going to be able to edit this integration. I can add a new component here. We will search for SSE, and we will publish our SSE client. I'm going to use a post method. We click on the SSE client element, and the first thing we're going to do is to select our connection. Here is the one that we just created. So in the input, we're going to define the required elements. In this case, the base path is going to be this ask. Then the body is going to be this one. And we're going to save this. If you see the structure of the output is basically the same structure as a HTTP client response. We have the, if this was a success, the connection, the code of that response, the headers, in case there's an error. But additionally, we will have a new section that is going to be the SSE response that will contain this structure that is going to be the ID, the event, and the data for that chunk of information we're going to receive. And with this with this structure, we're gonna is gonna be populated each time that we receive a new portion of the response. So we're done here. We save this, close it, and now we are going to expand this connector and treat every single chunk of information we will receive from the server. In this particular case, what I'm gonna do is first manipulate that response. So I'm gonna use a map here, right? So if we see the original call to this SSE server, I ask for a poem. We see that this poem will always return the same poem, by the way, for testing purposes. And here we have in each line the word Maria. So just to demonstrate that I can manipulate or change each response, each chunk or portion of the response, I'm going to add a new function that will replace the string, the input string that is going to be collected from the data. I'm going to search the value Maria, and I'm going to replace it with the value Beth. I'm going to save this. And because this is a call to an API server, we're going to establish an SSE connection with this API server. To do that, each time that I receive that information and I get the response, I'm going to override the data event here. And I'm going to save this. And I'm going to, once I modify the data, I'm going to send it back to the original caller. So to do that, we use a new API server write server sent event connector that we have here. And we are going to map the data that I modify to the data that I'm going to send back to the original caller. So everything seems to be fine. So just to summarize, we're going to perform the same API call that I did at the beginning, that just returned 200 as response. And we're going to additionally perform a call using the SSE Client connector to a server. That server will return SSE response. We will treat every response and we will manipulate that response to modify, change it, or do whatever we want depending on the integration. In this case, we're going to change just one string in that portion and write it back to the original caller. So we're done here. We save this. And we're going to enable the integration. Now, if we go back here, this is the first call that I did. This was just a 200 response. Now, if we call again, now you see that we will start receiving the SSE information, but instead of receive in each portion of the poem, the word Maria was replaced by Beth. So with this, we demonstrate that we can not only proxy an ACC call using the API server, we're going to be able as well to manipulate the response that we receive from the original server. This could be an LLM, could be whatever that supports SSE, and send it back improved to the original caller. Thank you very much.